Yo, it's Guido coming at you with the Tactics Talk. Welcome back, everybody, and thanks for tuning in. And apologies to Jeb for the Artie video yesterday. But today we have Bitwise, Clan TKO. Regular at the channel, especially at the Twitch channel, also here. In his Type 59 Chinese Tier 8 Premium Medium Tank. He's got 4 replays for us. We worked together a little bit. I don't know how long has it been, maybe a month or two ago. He sent me a note in these 4 replays and wanted me to do a review of these 4. So it says, hey Guido, thanks for the coaching. I've been playing more forward positions lately. It's something we talked about. And I think it was more on the idea of being carefully aggressive. Bitwise is a very good player, but tends to hang back a bit and see how things progress. And while that's not a bad idea in certain situations, it is like any kind of play style. I think that if that's all your play style is, you probably need to open up your aperture a little bit. So you've been working on being a little more aggressive. Playing more forward positions per your advice. I got completely stomped a bunch of times. That will happen, guys. If you are a more passive, careful player and you are trying to learn how to be a little more aggressive, you are going to overextend, make mistakes, and get stomped. I did it myself. When I finally decided, you know what, I want to be forward. I want to be the person who starts the steamroll / pushes the win. I also want to be alive at the end. We'll talk about that as we go. But I got my face kicked in multiple times. And now I'm actually pretty good at the aggressive part. Now the trick there is I tend to be forward aggressive vice trying to push myself to be aggressive. So my tendency is to have to pull back, as you have seen on my Twitch channel. Learned some lessons the hard way, but I'm starting to get better at it. In my last few sessions, I've held positions just long enough to sway the game a handful of times. And this is what I'm talking about. The critical terrain, go to those places, try to win that first, and then aggressively analyze, collect SA, and make decisions from there. And if that's not working, change what you're doing. Rather than just sit back and let it happen. I can see the benefits of the playstyle. Last time I asked you for a session review, I was in the 40% win rate slump. After review and some adjusting, I'm winning about 57% of the time. So you're sending the 4 replays. I understand if you're busy about it. Okay. So he says, now that I'm playing more aggressively, my DPG isn't as good. It's a good point. I'm dropping mark percentage on all my tanks. It's harder for me to get cleanup damage than it was to farm from the red line. Am I being too passive? All right. So carefully aggressive, more forward positions are going to increase your win rate. You will have a hard time with the end game stuff if you give up too many hit points. And I realize that those two kind of go together, and that's where you have to be carefully aggressive. Try to husband as many hit points as you can while being aggressive and turning the battle in your favor. But you will find yourself getting a little less damage on occasion doing those things, especially if you give up too many hit points in late game. You don't have any votes to start spending in terms of cleanup damage or pushing positions and things like that. So he says, am I being too passive still? So we're going to take a look at this. We've got 4 replays to look at. The first one here is on Sand River Dorf. Went to the mid, to the back of the hill. I didn't expect the E75TS. Was it a mistake to play the light tank role in this game? All right, looking at the lineup, I thought it was the best tank to play that role in this match. Let's just get going on this. Okay. I'm a big proponent of playing the match in the situation and not worrying too much about the tank you're in. There's a couple obvious exceptions. If you're an Artie, you're really not going to start out the game being a scout or a heavy or whatever. So you've got to look at the 2 matchups and make a decision, an appropriate decision on where you are in the match and what you can do or what you can get away with, where you need to go to help win. Sand River on encounter. You can be fast capped if you don't send anybody down here, but I just do not go to the cap. In general, on any encounter mode, I just don't go to the cap. I don't go near the cap. I don't go around the cap. I go to the critical terrain. Now, on some of the maps, the critical terrain is around the cap, but it is never get on the cap or even worry about defending the cap initially. Again, yes, you can be fast capped. That's a low percentage play. But you'll notice that a lot of the tanks are going up to the north. We are a medium. I think you had plenty of speed to get up into the northeast. And the beauty of this map is you can get up to the northeast, kind of see what's going on. If they send some guys, kill them, then come back down here and deal with the goobers who go to the cap. I mean, this is a fairly cut and dry as far as maps go. situation. I really don't like this position. I get it. There's multiple spotting possibilities. You can catch guys being silly over here. But man, all it takes is one dude kind of driving a little close, and now you're seen, right? And all these dudes up on these sand dunes, the campers back here, all of a sudden you're getting shredded, and there's really not a lot of places to go. This actually blew my mind that this TS didn't see you. I have no idea how this just, okay. I mean, he is right there, just no burn through. That must be one of the world's greatest bushes right there. So you get him lit as a scout, and you're holding him lit. I agree with the idea of not shooting, although you don't quite have the depression. I think if you backed out a little bit, you did have a shot. But still, that's kind of auto spot, and then what I just discussed is going to happen. Whatever's up there is going to start shooting at you. So he gets pretty hammered. You're going to end up with 496, and basically you farm the E75 TS and take him out of the game. Now, notice what's going on in the northeast. There is a battle up there. You've got a lot of your good tanks. This is a tier 9 and 8 battle, so a good portion of your 9s are up there and your mediums. But this is what happens here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tanks are just not in the game. They're just not in the game. Initial positioning matters. I think, especially in the case of the T10 that's fast enough, and maybe the TNH and the T56, had they gone up to the top and helped clean that group up and then folded straight back down to the south, man, this game would have gone a lot faster. So you will have somebody trolling around down by the cap. You had a 40T, and now you've got an IS-32 that somehow didn't see you. Kind of blew my mind. Oh, he's up there on the sand dune up above, and then we're going to bail out. And I thought, okay, that's not a bad plan. Let's bail out of here and maybe head up to the north and help these guys, but we're going to go over here. Yes, we have 1,339. We helped get rid of the E75 TS. That is obviously helpful to the team, but just watch what goes on up in the north right there. And imagine your gun is up there. Good player, forward position, what I consider initially, at the first part of this game, the critical terrain. The critical terrain will change as a match progresses. A lot of it will have to do with what happens in the match. But obviously, once somebody wins that northeast portion or the north portion, then the critical terrain shifts down towards the cap, because a couple things are probably going to happen at that point. Someone's going to say, holy cow, we're losing, let's jump on cap and try to cap it, and at that point you're going to have to deal with it. Nice shots on the Udez right here. Or you're going to have, which means you're going to have to come down out of the north and come save the cap. Or the remnants of the two teams, if they really beat each other up in the northeast, in the north, will be down battling near the cap, because usually somebody's down near the cap as well right there in either one of those cases. Now see, you're starting to win up there in the northeast. And it's a debrief style. We're looking at what happened. What happened is what happened. All right? Kind of a dumb thing to say. But I really think that had you been up there, you would have helped them knock down that team up in the northeast a lot better than what they did. They're actually going to end up winning without you. So we have wandered around. We're at minute 11:39, so we're heading into 4 minutes into the game. We've done a respectable 251 and damage of 1,339 in terms of assist. You mentioned, hey, my damage is going down. Where were the hit points? When you started, where did you know the hit points were going to be? Probably. The most likely place for the hit points was going to be up in the north. And you're fast enough, you're in a medium, if that doesn't turn out to be true and you beat them quickly, well then you flow down to the south and you grab the hit points. It's much more difficult to go down to the cap on this map, find out there's really nothing going on, and then try to drag yourself back up the hill up there without getting shredded. So I just really feel like for an initial positioning standpoint, I thought this was still a little bit of a passive move. Now, people come by this honestly because they go up to the north and they have no support and they get overrun and all their team is down to the cap. And really, your team sent a good portion of guys down to the cap. You could have alternately looked at that initial positioning. Say you went to the north and looked down and went, holy cow, all our really big tanks are down there. We're kind of in trouble up here. But I'm thinking that a player of your skill goes there, and this is something that is a baseline thought in my brain every time I get into the game. And I've said this before, I basically consider myself the best player on the team, even if I'm objectively not. Say there's some guy with 3,500 1-8 or 45 or whatever. But I make my decisions and I make my gameplay in accordance with the idea that I have to win this game. You do have to be careful with that because you don't want to press too hard. It's easy to press too hard if you have that mentality, but that mentality informs everything I do in the game. It's like I have to do it, right? Someone else is not going to do it. Be careful about overextending and making dumb plays when you have that mentality, but if that is always in the back of your mind, then that will inform all the decisions that will follow on from there. So we're going to kind of troll around up here. Now, this portion of the game, what I would say here is you're really starting to win. You've really got this flank. You got an Oho sitting on the cap. Unfortunately, it's your team that's trying to do such a thing. There's the Tornwagen and another guy up there. They kind of held that dune. Their tanks are trying to push at your campers, and that's always going to go poorly. So more than likely, you're fine over on the other side. So now we want to start hitting the accelerator because we got all our hit points. We got some guys on the run over here. An autoloader, a Scorpion. That's 2 of them. There's 2 of them over there. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 6 tanks accounted for. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's all of them, man. That's it. All you have is a Lorraine and a Scorpion. It's time to get on the accelerator. And this is a tricky part as you start to learn the more aggressive thing is when do I stomp on the accelerator, push towards the HP, and start taking as much HP out of the game as I can, and when do I hang back? There you go. Just make it hard for him to hit. There you go. I like that approach. It was nice. You cut to the right, use the dune. Just keep pushing in on these guys. Ooh, 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 ooh. There we go. All right, so let's just talk about that approach just from a mechanics standpoint real quick. Not a great depression. You kind of drove right up on that dune. So the approach obviously needed to be over here in this flat part so that you could go ahead and go hold down to your left right here really nicely and thump that guy and not give yourself any kind of depression problems, or just go up and over and at him, which is another possibility. I don't think that's a great idea right here. I like the more careful option because he probably was going to thump you if you just came at him. You were really telegraphing it, so move left a little bit. There you go. Now you got the depression you want. You hit him. Oh, geez, don't let him hit you. Yeah, just back out. That looked like maybe you were trying to bait a shot. Just get cover, man. You're not reloaded. Why even let him have a chance? There you go. So that's just a couple mechanical things to think about. All right, now, accelerator. Where are the hit points? Head towards them. I like it. Here we go. We've got 1,200 damage, 1,488 assist. And like I said, I really think just from an initial positioning standpoint, you'd have done a lot better. I'd just shoot that. You're kind of like, oh, I need a weak spot. Shoot it. If it pins, hooray, super luck. And then hit 2 and reload. Those are the little things that are going to get you more DPG along the way. I just wanted to mention also your discussion about your DPG going down a little bit. You will find that as you're being more aggressive until you figure out how to sustain enough of your votes towards the end. Because a lot of times, especially in defeats, if you are doing the marking fetish thing, you are really just kind of sitting back and trying to survive as long as possible and do damage. And yes, you can sometimes crank out some pretty good damage and losses just by being very passive. And to a large extent, Bitwise, this is up to you, man. I call it the marking fetish. If you're into the marking thing, by all means, go for it. For me, my purpose of starting a game is to win, and I don't really care too much how. I would rather be one of the guys who does the most damage and gets the most experience and has the most impact, most kills, all that stuff. But if what I have to do to win the game doesn't get me a lot of damage, I don't worry about it too much. Now, I don't prioritize that at all, but I don't worry about it too much. So as far as sitting back and trying to farm damage for marks in a defeat, I don't give 2 shits about that. I really don't. Like, you'll see me do it occasionally, and sometimes that's actually an avenue towards a win, right? It is kind of close, and you're falling back, and that's just good gameplay. Yeah, I'll farm guys as they come at me, and I'm in a defensive situation. But as far as flipping that switch really early, i.e., my initial deployment is just, well, this really looks like a bad situation, so I'm just going to sit back and farm the whole time. I virtually never do that. Virtually never. However, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. If that's what people want to do, if they love the marks and they want to have the most DPG, then go ahead. It generally coincides with a high win rate, but that's not really, for me, the purpose of my gaming in World of Tanks is I want to go out there, be aggressive, have fun, shoot things, and try to win. And somewhere in between there is probably the best plan. Let's move on to the second one. Okay, to recap on the first one, we went to kind of a secondary position. We didn't go to the critical terrain, and all the hit points and the fight was won up in the north to a large extent. You guys were important down there. You did make sure that the cap wasn't kind of overrun or something silly happened, but you ended up with a respectable but not amazing amount of damage. Most of the hit points and fighting was at the critical terrain, what I considered the critical terrain, at least early in the battle, right? The critical terrain can switch around. So that was interesting. We went to kind of a secondary position, played it well. We talked a few mechanical things, maybe slightly more aggression, pushing into the last hit points and whatnot. But I think you did about everything you could do from that position. This one's interesting because this one you're headed right to what I consider, at least in this case, on this map, the critical terrain. This is all tier 8. The 6x6, the unseen Banshee, who is about to be the very seen Banshee. Now I want everybody to just take a quick look at the mini map right here, and if the hairs on the back of your neck are not starting to rise in terms of what's going to happen on this hill, they should be. Nobody's made a significant move towards the hill other than the 6x6 and Bitwise, and I would agree with this move, Bitwise, and this is where I was talking about, all right, you head towards the critical terrain, but the team isn't, they're not doing it, right? They're not doing it. Okay, so let's see what Bitwise does as far as choices. The unseen, soon-to-be-seen Banshee is now seen by the FL, and he's getting beat up by the Tier 8 Premium version of himself, which is 14 times better, approximately 18. All right, for my money, man, I think I'm waiting at this corner to shoot somebody as they go by, as opposed to waiting right there. Yes, they could come straight up to this and try to shoot you, but it's more likely the first tank or two are going to try to cross, especially as they know the FL-10 is up here with just, it looks like a Banshee. They haven't seen anything else. He actually gets a lucky shot, but thank goodness it only gets you tracked. And we have an STA-1 coming and a Progetto, but still not looking great. 3 TDs camping behind us, and most of our power, most of our heavies went over there. So now we got to look at this, go, okay, let's assess the situation. Not looking good. This TNH 105-1000 is feeling good, probably because he's got a lot of friends. When you see someone just drive up into those rocks like they're going to be the boss, they usually do that because they have backup coming. Not always, but usually. All right, we'll see how this... Obviously, I've watched it, so I know what's going to happen here. But I try to take those cues as I'm watching the deployment. Like, why is he so aggressive? Why is he so sure that taking this corner is a good idea? Now, he immediately gets thumped by the TDs, and you got a lot of help back there. So right now, if we look at this, we go, well, we've lost the critical terrain. Let me just talk a little bit about this hill on this map. When I say critical terrain, there, you know, sometimes the difference between the critical terrain and the non-critical terrain is this, and sometimes it's this. You can win from the 1-2 line, but you have to push in and win it, and then either come back if your cap is threatened, or continue in if you've got a easy push towards their cap. The problem is there's a lot of open ground on both the north and south side when that happens, and you can get shredded. Also, if you get locked down by 2 or 3 tanks. But what happens here is those heavy tanks, they don't see anything. So as far as which is the critical terrain, their side is starting to rise just a little bit and coming close. And as long as Bitwise doesn't lose this hill immediately and allow this swarm to just come through into the cap and around behind the heavies who are trapped in the 1-2 line, if they indeed get trapped, then we're doing pretty good. So we kind of got to switch and go, all right, this kind of sucks. It's not ideal. It's not what I want to have happen right here. But for the moment, I've got to kind of hold this position. And I would agree with what you're doing right here. Now, the other option is, if you don't want to be aggressive and try to win, and now you're going, well, shit, now I'm just going to farm, is, yeah, you would fall back and try to get back behind your cap, or in with the TDs, or back over the RHMB is, or something like that, and try to farm some damage. You would be watching, which I believe you probably are, the fact that the heavies are only seeing the AMX M449. Now, they could walk into a lot more guys, but it looks like most of their power's over here. And you're just hoping that they figure this out quickly, and then, holy cow, you get an aggressive Su-130, which is highly unusual, but there he is. All right, prioritize. Let's talk about the specific situation you're in. Your TDs are holding it. You've got a Lurva over there. You have an STA-1 with you, and a lone, now beat up Su-130 has pushed in, man, you got to go get rid of him. You can't let him sit there. So we kind of like, oh, geez, I guess I'll just let that Su-130 sit there. That was a bummer. He hit me. Let me turn around and try to fight guys who are nicely hold down. I'll be shooting up at turrets. And this guy makes a mistake. That was nicely done right there. So now your Su-130 is trying to make a peeky poke. And you've got a FL-75 FL-10 who's left the hill and come around behind you, rolling around through everything in the back, spotting everything. Ooh, ooh, oh, yeah. Yeah, I didn't really like that much right there. I don't think I would have done it that way. Potentially just come around the left side of the rock here. Although he may have seen you right there as well. We really need to get rid of him, though. Unfortunately, he's going to get some backup. And what happens is the other TDs, they start to see the game being won. They see the Su-130 having some luck down here. Now other people are going to join this guy. And here now we also have a freaking RHMB. Looks like they both fired, so I'd come out here and get the shot like you do. There you go. Pulling back. Check 6. So this is that SA gathering thing. We want to turn around and go, what's going on behind us? Nothing good. So now we're kind of looking at this going, well, shit. What can I do? Not a whole bunch. Look at that. They shredded all your TDs. They all died. They've all died back there. And now we're just trying to hold this position as long as we can to let those heavies go try to cap, I guess. I think you ended up winning this game, to be honest. The team, the bad guys stay on the hill just a little too much right here. And there's actually a third guy down there now. There's a CS. All right. You're looking to try to get another bit of damage. These guys are clearly going to come around behind you, so you might have been able to spin around and get a shot off those guys. And you think about it, I think a little bit late, and down we go. I think your guys cap out because this is a win. So we're gonna. Do you watch this whole game? Let's find out. I stopped looking at it after this. The Emil, he's completely showing his face, getting hit, getting reset. Absolute clown show. They're all hiding on the cap. Oh man, they have 2 on. You have 3 on. Guys are poking out, still getting hit like absolute muppets, and then somehow you end up winning. Nice, nice. So like you said, Tundra, this time we had no chance to go up, so I sacrificed my game to stall them, and that's what I was talking about earlier. This is the bad side, fighting for map control. I got outplayed. Yeah, the Sioux abused you a little bit. I think you might have been able to be a little aggressive earlier until his buddies showed up. It's possible you come around the corner and both of them are there anyway, but I might have tried to press that Su-130, prioritize him because he's the one I could do something with. And that actually helps you with your hit points damage, right? Your DPG. That's a guy I can fight. I really can't fight the guys on the hill. I do want to stay alive, but I can probably get some hit points off of this Su-130 down there. It's hard to tell if I had an impact on this game. Certainly I'm not happy with my performance. Well, I would say you had a huge impact on the game, and that's a good example, like I was saying on this one, where you went to the critical terrain and held it just long enough for your team to do this Muppet maneuver. You know, this was a really low percentage play that they did. All 3 of these guys, other than the IS-2, sorry, the Emil, not all 3, but 2 of the 3 are poking out like morons, getting shot at. And they did get decapped a couple times, but they ended up winning it just barely. And even though it actually looks fairly even by the time it was ended here, because they killed a couple other guys. So I thought that this was more of a decision in terms of winning the game, and as opposed to let's sit back and farm. And you're going to have to make that decision in your mind on which one of those 2 things is more important. And I'm not saying it's an on-off thing, like I'm always winning or I'm always farming. You can mix and match that. But as far as the way this one developed and the way it went, that was about the best you could do, I would say, right there. Other than maybe turning around and being a little more aggressive with the Su-130. All right, let's look at the third one. All right, number 3, while my editing software catches up. Here we go. So again, Type 59. These are all Type 59. We're on Ruenbergdorf, and we're headed up to the little village up here. Again, an all tier 8, 1 artillery, and we're going to head up here to the, what is it, the east side of the map right here. All right. I generally do not go this far on this map. I will take up a position for early shots, kind of where the sturb is going up around these buildings. and try to shoot any guys who might be like this Indian Panzer or somebody who tries to get into the middle, or then take shots down the road. That's where, if I'm going to go to this position on the map, would I go to this position on the map on this one as an initial position? Yeah, I think I probably would. I might actually go into the city, but there's enough heavies doing that. And it's very annoying when the little village up here gets left alone and you get flanked. So you go up here. I think that's not a bad idea, but bail out of it if you need to. So let's move on. You do say miss the LC scouting run. Oh, there he goes, zinging by you. Miss the LC. The bad side of fighting for map control. I got outplayed. Oh, sorry, wrong one. I don't need to spot the Borsig and the Sioux yet. We'll get to that in a minute. And we have shots into the city, and that's kind of what I'm talking about now. The ELC, okay, dude. I guess, I don't know. He pushes in. He spots the Su-130 who's not quite in position where he wants to be. He zings on in there. I like that you're pushing in to maybe get a shot. It is a little bit dangerous for you right now because you don't really know how many guys are over here. You see the Indian Panzer, but there may be somebody else in amongst these buildings. Although if you count noses, there's a lot lit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1 dead, 11. Oh, that's the arty. So there could be a significant amount of guys over here. And we're trying to take on the 6x6. Kind of surprised you didn't get lit right there, to be honest. Su-130. And every centimeter you go forward right here, you're exposing yourself maybe to the Indian looking at you. To come in here, getting a little over aggressive, I think. I think you actually find the Indian. The Indian kind of loses his mind. He doesn't see anything, and it looks like the Indian figures, well, there's nobody around here, because what he's going to do is he's going to push in on you guys. So you two kind of, you know he's there. I don't think he knows you're there. He might now. Nope, there he is. See how he's moved through? We run into a building. Just push in here. Yep, I like that. Keep pushing. Yeah, I would absolutely fall back into your side right there. He's overextended, just like you're doing, and take this guy out. Just keep pushing. Go, 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 go. Go get him. There it is. He doesn't even know you're there. He has no idea who's hitting him or why. And he goes down. So very nice. All right, so the 6x6 is raging around. He's going to die pretty soon. It's looking like you're starting to own the city. They've already killed the arty. The Su-130 died back there, or a Su-130 died. They have 2 of them? Yes, they do. And the Indian's dead. So you went to important terrain. I'm not going to call this critical terrain. This is one of those maps, actually, that has a symbiosis between 2 spots, like Malinovka and Proc. 2 or more spots, depending on the map. This is one of the ones that you do have to have somebody up here. You can't ignore the small village, especially if you start pushing across. Now, looking at what's going on down there, man, that is a target-rich environment. Look at the 50 TPPR looks to be out in the open right there. The Caliban, they're all trying to push your guys. They're all there for the shootings. So like you said, you did self-diagnose this to a large extent. Get in there. Start shooting them. I like this, though, actually, because you're going to be able to take out this 6x6 who's taking up this little position here. I think he noticed you right at the end. All right, and that's the point at which you go. We have this little village area locked down. Let's fall back. Let's go down to where the Su-130 is, and let's start shooting guys in the back and in the sides. Just like you said right there. So let's think about this for a minute. Where are the hit points? Well, there's a Su-130 and an RHM or whatever it is over there. That's some hit points. But, man, they're hard to get to, aren't they? How am I going to find those hit points? Well, I'm either going to do it by fire, or I'm going to get lucky by poking around a corner and maybe find one of them outside of a bush somehow. They're TD players in the back corner on the red line. They're not going anywhere. Not anytime soon. Let's get down here and start wrecking these guys from another angle. That's exactly what you want. That's where the hit points are. That can be difficult. The whole idea of that can be a difficult one for people because you're looking at this going, ooh, I've won this flank. Let's keep pushing this flank. And that's what you see a lot. People don't kind of take a look at what's going on the other flank. Where can I be more effective? Where are the hit points? Where's the critical terrain now? Where is it shifted? Well, it's shifted down there where all their hit points are. Nobody gives 2 craps about 2 TDs sitting in the back. I actually like that little test shot. You did ID the fact that they're in there. Of course, now they know you're there. One thing you can do with that kind of deal is, I think you started moving too early. Just stop and sit there until you think you're dark, and then move away. Because if you telegraph you're moving, they may start moving up. If they have half a brain, they might try that. That building just really does not want you to get by it. I think it keeps shifting out. So we're going to come around this way. And this is where I believe you started to decide that maybe you can get some shots down here. So let's talk about the technical aspects of getting shots down here. We run into this dead guy, and we're just accepting that we're going to have to pixel snipe through a bush we can't see through. Man, I tell you what, I would get into right up to this bush, make the bush disappear for a second, and see what the heck's going on down there. And then if you want to back out and do the pixel snipe, go for it. We actually hit the guy, so good on you. I mean, maybe there's another better shot, right? If you can go, picture's worth 1,000 words. Move in there till you can see this guy. There you go. Well, okay, now things are making a lot more sense. And I actually have a shot on this guy, so we'll thump him. That's nice. All right. You're starting to gobble up hit points. That critical terrain is solved, more than likely. The Caliban has no hit points. The Lurva maybe has some, but he's around a corner. There's a bunch of hit points now where the campers are. And I can move down this bush line, cut left, head into these buildings here, and move myself closer in on the TDs. Or I can get around behind the Lurva and take his hit points. Why would we sit here sniping Snipe-a-Lama Ding Dang at a 311 hit point Caliban that's behind 14,000 tanks? And this is that DPG part. This is the greedy DPG part. And if you can get to the game like you did with this many hit points, start spending them, right? Not like a drunken sailor on shore leave, but get those votes out and start using them. Vote early and vote often from here on out. And we find one. That's good. I don't know why you were still moving. I guess you're trying to move forward. Someone else killed him before you had the shot, but I thought that was a good shot already. I like this. The Lurva, you're not going to get any hit points off him. He's getting absolutely swarmed. So I think had you moved in a little bit earlier on some of those guys, just take that shot as you're moving. Just, who knows? Maybe it hits, right? Your choices were stop and try to zoom in on the pixel, or just shoot on the way and maybe everyone misses them, and when you get up top you'll have a nice clear shot, but at least take the shot. Give it a shot. So we end up with 1,084, 1,100 assists. And again, a nice little game. I liked the initial positioning. I think, as you said, you could have flexed over to the other hit points. I would not have even messed with these guys. I'd have headed down to town and joined in on the brouhaha down there from nice and close. And I think had you shifted that a little earlier, you might have been more in the 1,500 to 2,000 damage range. You would be amazed at how many times, playing the way I do, that and trying to go to the hit points, how a game like this that's sitting at 1,000 will turn into a 2,000 or 3,000 damage game, end game, just because I'm being aggressive, pushing in and trying to get the hit points at the end. And I think that's a hard switch to turn on for a lot of players who are much more careful game players, because they rarely turn that YOLO switch on. Not the pants on head stupid YOLO switch, but the, wow, they're collapsing, it's time to press the accelerator, get in there and get another 1,500, 2,000 damage. Let's look at the fourth one. Good old Airfield Dorf. Airfield Dorf spawned into the west side, and we're going to head up to the perch. This is absolutely the critical terrain on this map. The middle does need to be watched. Sometimes people will push in the south and make an effort of it, but it doesn't take many tanks over there to kind of lock down. So we spawned in a nice spot, and that is important to a large extent on how far you can get. Look how far out ahead everyone you are right here. And immediately you started moving. You were spawned all the way over on the left side of the spawn, and you're right there. So you should be able to get up that hill unless something very fast meets you. So you're there first, your turret's in the right spot, your gun's in the right spot, and then we stop like this. And I'm like, oh, golly, dude. I have done that before. I'm going to tell you it's not a great idea. Just shift your pole to the left, so that you're minimizing the amount of exposure that you have. The good news is you actually catch somebody that you outspot. The SCOTUS coming, so you're ready. Look how much time you had. That's another thing, is try to use that timing in your brain. If you get there that early, you know you are probably going to beat everyone. You definitely have time to shift your hole, right? If you're late, you don't even want to stop. You just want to go and accept the fact that you're going to get up there and not get shot. We're waiting for the T-127 or the T-20. Yeah, oops, that's going to show you what you're doing with your gun. We take that shot and we get away with it. So we do get spotted. We come up to the top here. Our UDES-16 gets rocked. He was late to the party and suffered the consequences, right? Everyone was aimed in right there. He tried to get up the hill late, and he ends up getting thumped. Old Alvin won. And then we start working the hill. Okay? So, good enough. Let's go take a peek. Maybe, a lot of times you catch people out right here doing something silly. I would go further. You seem reluctant to get into those bushes most of this game. I mean, I would go all the way out over to here by this rock just to see everything I could see back here. Right now, you can't even see the cap. Then we have the EBR, so we mess around with him a little bit. Stare at him. We're not going to get a shot on him. Who cares about him? Oh, wait, there's some guys here. No, they're down low. Oh, what about this guy? And we're just going to go, no. Okay, we'll just accept the... No, okay, we'll shift around a little. Man, as soon as that Alpine Tiger came around that corner, I'm looking for a way to put a shot on that guy. Now, are we up? Trying to see if we're a little bit angled here. Yeah, I think if you get into the flat... Oh, this stupid camera. I think if you get into the flat a little bit behind you, you're going to have a better options. I would have taken the damage right there instead of the track. More than likely, he has a repair kit. You may have thought your buddies were going to help you, but clearly they weren't. I don't know if they were spotted. They're also worried about the T1 or the T30 right there. So we come in here, take a nice shot on him. Good. You know what you haven't done this whole time? And this gets into the SA gathering side of things. You've never looked back at what's going on behind you. Like, okay, yep, I knew he was up there. Oh, there's a tortoise. Okay. Now, maybe you were gathering that from the mini-map, but I always look back when I have a chance to go, what the hell's going on back here? Just as I say that, you look back. Okay, so we just sit here. And we scooch forward, and we look at the T30. And we look at the T30. And then we're looking at the T30. Is he coming forward? Maybe. No. We look at the T30. And gosh, if that T30... Oh, finally. All right, we take a snapshot back there. Here's what I'm interested in behind us. Tortoise, E75, T95, T26, E4. Their Tortoise, their Defender, their C-130, or their C-130, their Su-130. Let's think about that for a minute. EBR, the 120s on the other side. Nope, still behind stuff. Oh, Alpine Tiger, nope. No, what's going on here? Nope. Stare at that guy, he's behind stuff. EBR's behind stuff. Well, maybe that rock will disappear. Oh, geez. All right, that's a great example of what I was talking about as far as getting to where the bush becomes invisible when you look at him and understand that he is so far behind that rock, it's not even worth bothering with him. Wonder what's going on behind us. Oh. Tortoise. Oh, Defender's dead. Don't you think that if you'd have turned around and helped these guys over here with your fast-firing gun, the ability to track things and pick at them as they fire and have a longer reload, granted the Tortoise has a fairly fast reload, I think your gun was better off being used behind you. Using this little corner right here is pretty powerful. Obviously, you need to watch out for the Su-130, and it turns out there's a 704 up there as well. So there's a couple TDs that could be a problem. However, timing it, taking a look at what's going on, and maybe helping those guys behind you could have been a much better use of your time. We're sitting at 506 damage. We're like, oh, I just hope somebody gets out. I hope somebody pokes out and lets me shoot him. Come on, guys, poke out and let me shoot you. Meanwhile, there's a hell of a scrum going on behind you, man. A hell of a scrum, and I think if they had your skill and your gun over there, they start whittling these guys away. You know, there's only so many of them. Look, and now the T95, and he actually survives for a long time. We finally turn around. And you did mention that. Maybe I should have turned around and helped. And I would agree with that 100%. That was the critical train. Help collapse that. Nobody in the middle or the south matters. They're not doing anything. You've got enough guys watching them, so that right now they're not going to come around and collapse. You got a Progetto watch and a T49. There's a char footer camping in the back, all that good stuff. And now we're starting to collapse this over here. We got the 704s hiding out. STA1's right there. Unbelievable that that 70 hit point T95 is still alive. The E75 loses his mind. You see him pushing. It looks like you come around and try to help him, but you're never going to get a shot on those guys. They don't have to expose themselves. He's gone to a really silly place. Caliban's down there, so there's not a lot you can do for that guy. Again, for my money, it's over here. Come back around this way and start helping these guys. Pop around, see if maybe you can spot the 704 and catch him out. Maybe even push up towards the T95. There is a char over here. That is a problem. You don't want to completely expose yourself and let him shred you. Now, I will say on this one, there's nothing here you're doing that's losing the game, right? It's not a case of saying, oh man, you're screwing this up, right? You're messing up, you're not losing the game, but you're also not winning the game. You're also not winning the game right now. Not you, anyway. 754 damage. So what am I going to do with those votes? How do I make this happen? We come around here. Not bad. We can see if we can help the tortoise maybe pop this guy. He's hid behind that rock. Somebody shot. I like that, actually, because sometimes when a shot goes in, they time it and say, ooh, I can move out and not be shot. Then we go right back to the hill. Right back, right back to home. Right back to our home. Then the EBR morts himself trying to run off the rocks here. I didn't realize he was I didn't realize he was shotable there either. All right. Excellent. Pantera, or the Alpine Tiger dies. The T30 is busy. And I like this. Now we finally start to push. It is a Caliban. That's not easy. E75 gets hammered. And then we bail out. I thought you were actually going to push down there and go around the corner. I would have gone down there with the E75 and helped him out. Yeah, that Caliban may hit you twice, but between you and the E75, you kill him. But we bail out. We head around this way. And like you said on your, when you noted, you said, I don't know, maybe I should have jumped in and traded my HP at the end instead of going around to shoot the TD perch. Yes, I think I would have pushed in. Maybe even try to tuck up underneath the object, especially after the char footer died. You do see the 704's lit, so we get some good shots right here. It's nicely done right there. A little thump on that guy. Another option was just to push at the Caliban. I think we get another... that may have missed. Caliban dies anyway. And now we're just trying to grab some hit points from the best spot we can. STA1 dies. Now we just got the 704. Nice shot on him. Get him tracked for a little extra assist. Tossed in on top. And then the Su-14-2. Now that was a decent example of endgame aggressiveness, getting in there and getting some hit points. You turned like a 400, 500 damage game at least into a 1272 with 345 assists. But I think that there was a definite opportunity to help your guys push in there from the perch. And then once you got inside there, what you had to do was get rid of the STA1 and somebody get up underneath the 704 and start pushing in there so that you can break them down. Right? They all did that. You're at 100% hit points, right? So no real effort hit points wise from you right there. So again, a very careful, pretty well played game in terms of winning and keeping yourself alive. But I think there was definitely dialing that one up from 10 to 11 aggressiveness somewhere in there would have helped collapse them and at the same time get you some more opportunities for hit points and assist. The last thing I'll say about the assist piece is when you are aggressive and pushing, a lot of times you end up getting the spotting, and so end game you crank up some more assist in there as well because you're the one spotting for all the guys with their low hit points who are back there sniping. All right, man. I hope all of those things helped. I would say that as a general rule, I liked your positioning. I wasn't jazzed about the one on Sand River, but the decision making of dialing up the aggression probably needs to be moved up a notch. But you're seeing it because you're talking about it, so that's a good thing. Keep on working on that, and look for the opportunities to step on the pedal. And I think that's probably the biggest thing right there. Because while what you did were probably for you aggressive positions, they were played more passively in those positions. And there were definite opportunities to dial that up and try to start cranking out some damage in those. And that's probably where you're losing some of your damage right there. It'd be interesting to break down your games and see if I would imagine in the past a lot of your losses had some pretty good damage. I would bet. And I would bet a lot of your wins didn't have great damage based on the way you played. That's just a feeling I get. That might be an interesting thing to look at. But well played on all those, man. Let me know what you think. Appreciate everybody coming by. That's all I've got for today. We will see ya.